When we play concerts at Orchestra Hall in Minneapolis, that is for our home audience. And then when we are doing recording, it's also for the home audience, but it goes out. And it's important to show the quality of the orchestra outside of Minnesota.
The Minnesota Orchestra stands out. It's really the only top 10 or 12 orchestra in the United States which still has this really fertile relationship with a commercial company which is not its own label.
There have just been so many highlights. Oh, we did all of the Sibelius symphonies. We're in the process of finishing all the Mahler symphonies, and we did all the Beethoven symphonies. That's a huge chunk of recording that we've done. It's been amazing.
Just a few points and we have it.
The idea came from BIS, the Swedish recording company whom I have been working for years and years. They said, what do I think about the Beethoven cycle? And it all came together.
It was spectacular now. You found the energy and the tension again.
For me, Rob Safi is the best producer in the market. I have said often that if you have a very good producer, then it's like a masterclass for the orchestra.
The Beethoven recordings, very interesting. And I think it goes back to the same things which characterize all his music making. He has a very crisp rhythmic sense, and the reviews were just fantastic.
Really fortunate because Orchestra Hall has a beautiful acoustic, but the way recordings happen now, it's very different than when they used to put one mic up and they would just get what they got. Many times you would think that every time you play it, you would be like, oh my gosh, this might be the take. But because you are repeating a lot, you have to stay focused but relaxed physically because of the repetition. Professional musicians sometimes are like endurance athletes. We have to take care of ourselves so that we can perform well.
We were thinking about what comes after Beethoven. It goes again back to BIS. Well, it might be interesting to do again Sibelius. And I said, why? We have already one. And then they said, have you recognized that it's 15 years since we did the recording? And I said, really? As a human being and as an artist, I'm not the same guy who I was 15 years ago or 20 years ago. And also one fact is that the string section is larger, and that gives you more possibilities to do more colors.
Sometimes when you go in to listen to the tracks you've just laid down, you're a little bit surprised, but it really opens your ears to, oh, this is what Osmo's saying when he says he wants it shorter here, or this is a teeny bit out of tune, or this can be better. Our Sibelius recordings were really magical because Osmo understands the sound painting of Sibelius.
He's done a huge number of Sibelius recordings for BIS, 2 recordings of the symphonies, and he's been called the greatest living Sibelius conductor. I think there's probably nobody with his authority in that music at the moment.
It's really nice feeling when something like Grammy happens to us, because it means that there are people who like what we are doing. So it's like a bonus when some good reviews are coming or Grammy is coming. Can you use this?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I would say that if we decide to do any recording, the bar is always very high. So why not Mahler? Because it's also great music and the orchestra would love to play it. And yes, there are like hundreds of layers which we should do exactly as Mahler wrote, and it is really difficult. But the Minnesota Orchestra is a great orchestra. So I think, and not only me, many people thought that this is an excellent project for us.
He has the orchestra trained and playing in a way where you can hear so much of what's going on in his recordings of Mahler symphonies, which are very thickly scored.
It sounds really great and super in tune, the top note.
It's really satisfying to think that, one day when I retire, I'll have these things to say I was a part of this. And that's pretty special. Kind of shone a light on our city and brought goodness to the world.
it could well be that the BIS Minnesota Orchestra relationship is one of the last great orchestra label relationships in American music history, and it's been an extremely good one.
We have people who love the orchestra. That is our number one. And if the recordings are good enough, people outside of Minnesota, they are interested about the orchestra. And because we don't give up before the highest quality is there. And what happens in the studio is going to happen next time in a concert. The recordings are helping us to get the orchestra little by little better and better.